Hello everyone, I'm Rosie, and if you're watching this as a parent, I just wanted to start by saying I'm really glad you're here. Most of us don't end up on SEND support apps because everything's going swimmingly. We're here because we're tired, we're worried, we're overwhelmed. We've realised that actually we're having to fight much harder than we ever expected just to get our children understood and supported. So if that's you, you're in the right place. I'm one of the trusted voices on this app, and my role here is to support you with honest, practical guidance, the kind of support I wish I had earlier on in my journey. So I'm an ADHD coach for both children and adults, and I run empowered coaching and consultancy where I support families through one-to-one and group ADHD coaching. Alongside that, I've been a primary school teacher for 14 years. I think that really matters because I understand schools from the inside. So I understand how decisions are made, the pressure schools are under, the language that's being used, and why us parents so often feel confused, dismissed, shut out, even when that may not be the intention. But I'm not just speaking from a professional point of view. I'm also a mum to 3 lovely children, 2 of whom are neurodiverse. So everything I share here sits at the intersection of teaching, SEND systems, ADHD and autism, and real life parenting. So my youngest child has been through the right to choose pathway, so I understand how confusing that process can feel, what you're supposed to ask, what happens next, why it often feels like you're constantly chasing professionals. My middle child, who's 12, has been out of school for 2 years now. Not because of bad parenting or a lack of boundaries or a lack of want to be at school, but because of extreme anxiety and unmet need. So his diagnoses are autism, ADHD, sensory processing and extreme anxiety. And that journey for us has involved EBSA, burnout, both him and me, really long waits for things, endless meetings, and that awful feeling of watching your child struggle while being told to let's just wait and see what happens. So when I talk about school anxiety and unmet need or systems breaking down, I'm not just talking theoretically. I'm talking as a parent who's lived it and is living it as we speak. And I want to say something really clearly because I think many SEND parents, we carry around this guilt. So if you're feeling exhausted, it makes sense. If you're really angry, it makes sense. If you feel like you've had to become an expert overnight, it's not because you're pushy, it's because the system often actually requires that you do become an expert. And if you've ever been made to feel like, I think we all have, that we're the problem, you're not. Neurodivergent children aren't failing school. A lot of the time it's the systems in schools that are failing to meet their need. So my role here isn't to tell you what you should be doing as a parent, it's just to help you feel more confident, more informed, more empowered, and less alone. So within this app, you'll see me supporting parents with things like understanding ADHD in children and adults, emotional regulation and overwhelm, school anxiety, including EBSA, also looking at SEN profiles in the HCPs, what should be included in them, the language that should be used, and why that often goes wrong. Preparing for meetings and knowing what questions to ask, and sometimes just translating that school jargon into plain English. So I'll help you understand what's reasonable, what's lawful, and where you can gently but firmly push back, not in a confrontational way, but in a way that protects your child, but also really importantly protects your energy. So the way I work is calm, realistic, but most importantly parent and child led. There aren't any quick fixes in this world, and I don't believe in blaming parents. I don't believe children need to be fixed in order to fix these broken systems. I believe that behaviour is a communication. We need to build confidence slowly, and I believe in supporting families as a whole in a way that's sustainable. So you don't have to take everything in at once. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody is. You don't have to have all the answers. You've just got to keep going. And through my experience, that has sometimes that means accepting support. So I'm really grateful to be part of this app and to be one of the trusted voices for supporting you here. So take what's useful, come back to things when you're ready, and remember that you know your child better than anyone else, and you're doing a fantastic job.